What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York. We are here at Aftershock Festival 2022, and we are here with Griffin of the Almighty Vended. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello.
It's so awesome to have you here. You guys just played an absolutely killer set. To talk about new stuff in the works, so you have the new single Dead to Me out. Is that maybe a good representation of what, like, a follow-up to what it is Kill It, in a way?
Very much, because it is a representation of how much we are maturing and how much we are growing up. Like, the EP was written back when, like, we were in high school, and even, like, past that, we were, like, still trying to, like, get it as perfect and as, like trying to say the right things and play the right things. But Dead to Me and the new song that we were performing overall, those songs are representative of us maturing and us being like, hey, this is our sound. This was our sound. Now we're going to improve upon our sound, and you're going to get blindsided by it.
Hell yeah. Was there like a or not even just for this album, but like for in general, do you start off the songwriting process with like a preconceived idea, or is there a lot of improvising involved?
Slightly. So I always start up, my way of doing it, which just kind of helps me because I like blueprints. They start off jamming. Someone will come up with something at home, and then we'll bring it in, and then we'll work around it, and they'll start jamming, and I'll be like walking around back and forth, just kind of trying to think of like rhythms of lyrics, or just like how I'm gonna say something, or like what like this makes me think of, or what this makes me like, what emotion or what past memory this brings out in me. Because like all the great creations are made from made from like trauma, or just like bad experiences from like growing up and stuff. I think like the creators of Venture Bros, like one of the dudes was saying like, how can I take something from my childhood that sucked and put it in with these characters, or in general this song? And it's like, even if it's, in his words, even if it's about like nanobots and robots and like aliens and shit, but like I take that as like, I'm gonna try and like convey a certain feeling that was brought into me as a kid, or just a certain traumatic moment that happened to me, and then I'm just gonna completely take out the actual story of it, bring in the emotions, and bring in like what I'm actually trying to convey, and then write it out and just try to have like, I guess, a moral to it. But like always have a good blueprint. But then I go home, I have like an idea of like what I'm trying to write, or I'll get an idea, I'll write it out as clean as I could. I'll try and come up with like certain wordplay things, or like just certain like genre type things that I want to say, and then I'll take it to my band, or take it to a friend of mine, and just be like, hey, this is what I'm coming up with. Is there any like suggestions that you could give me? Always get like at least a couple like points of view. They'll say something, you'll say something back on like why you did something, or like why you said something, and they'll be like, okay, what about this, or like how about a different way of putting it? And then like after that, you'll just have a nice blueprint already figured out, and then you can try and fit it into the song.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you actually led me perfectly into like the next three questions I have. But first, with the lyrics, do you like always need to hear music before you come up with lyrics, or could a lyrical idea maybe dictate the direction of the music?
Both, actually. I normally like to like listen to the music, because we'll like do a rough recording on one of our phones. We'll like start recording, and then like they'll send it to like all of us, and we'll take it home and listen into it. It's not the greatest recording ever, but it's a template. And I'll be like in my bed with like my notebook, and I'll just be like listening to it, and then I'm like, okay, this kind of rhythm kind of fits here. I don't know if I want to put that here, or maybe something different, but we'll see. Maybe I can use these types of words on this type of sound, like this type of like rhythm on the guitars, or this type of drum beat. I can use this type of wordplay in here just to see if that like kind of brings something out, or brings some like rawness, or like just anger out. Or like I'll just then like be like, oh, this is like a certain thing that I'm thinking about. Let me try and work that into it, but just kind of very riddle-ish, like kind of like not really saying what is supposed to be said or what I'm trying to say, but like trying to pinpoint like certain emotions or just certain certain key words that then just kind of slightly get forward what I'm trying to say.
And you know, you mentioned you're just confronting a lot of demons and traumatic experiences. Obviously, that makes the music cathartic, but does that also maybe make the songwriting a little bit deteriorating too?
Not really. It does make the like if you're focusing so heavily on the experience rather than realizing this is a song that someone is going to listen to and they won't really be able to, very few people will be able to like relate to it, maybe like have it as like a song that's like for this specific type of people and then like go on from that, or take like the experience that you're having and then try and like slightly tweak it so that other people can relate to it too, or at least other people can emotionally or mentally relate to it so that it helps them with their life, but you're also helping yourself with your life because you're writing about it. You're speaking these things. You're saying what you want to say, but they're not really getting what you're saying.
Fair enough. I mean, it's art. You know, that's what the.
It's all subjective. It's all just like it's like there's been a talk going around about like separating the art from the artist. Now it is about other things, like other people who have done bad things, and then like trying to separate the art from the artist. But I do really like the idea of like separating what that artist is putting in there, and then having your own idea. And like this song is kind of for me, like just like I like understanding like what the more like what the idea of the song was from their perspective, but then also just being like, this is what I was thinking, and this is like these were the emotions that I was going through when listening to this song.
When it comes to your stage presence too, because you have a visual aesthetic that you incorporate, do you almost feel like, this is for lack of better words, but do you almost feel like maybe you're like portraying a character on stage or somebody like that?
Very similar. So when we put on our makeup, I always look at myself in the mirror. Normally I like to do it alone, but if we can, I'll just do my own thing. But whenever I put on my makeup, I always look at myself, and I'm just trying to think of all the shittiness and just like shit that I've been thinking about like over the years since I haven't gotten a psychiatrist yet, or just certain like world viewpoints that I've just been dealing with and like not really understanding where I am or what's going on or like where my life is like leading me, but and also taking just like bad experiences from my past and bad experiences in my life, and then just like taking all of those really shitty emotions and then just applying them into a physical form. And then I go out on stage and I just go ape shit no matter how much it hurts, and it does hurt. I was dying on stage today, but like it does hurt and it does suck, but I just keep trying to push through, because the more pain I'm in, the more I feel like I can then be kinder, I can then be nice, I can then like not have to feel shitty around people and bring down the vibe or bring down the mood. And then after we're done, after it's all said and done, I'll go up and I'll like take the makeup wipes or like whatever I'm using, I'll take a shower, and I'll just like take a really hot shower, and then just imagine all of those emotions and all of those feelings just washing away almost.
You have like a process before, during, and after, and that I think is incredible.
Now,
that is something that makes Vended stand out.
Now
to
those
me.
things do come back. Emotions and feelings, panic attacks, all of those feelings that you feel, they come back. But you then learn from it and you're like, this is how I'm going to deal with it. This is how I already know what's going to happen, and I already know what is happening. So let's think of it in a different perspective, but also take what I learned from the last encounter with this and just calm myself down and realize it's going to pass. I'll be better. I'll learn from it, and I'll take myself into a better direction.
And you know, when it comes to playing live too, as well, like, do you almost like need to be in that same sort of element, or when you're in the studio as well as when you're playing live? Because like, the studio is a more controlled, static environment. Like, are you able to exert that type of energy in the studio as you do on stage?
Kind of. When it comes to the studio stuff, like, we're not wearing our makeup when we're in the studio. We're not all dressed up. Like, we just wear our normal clothes, and we're all just like, when it comes to the studio stuff, it's about making the song, not what drove you to make the song. Like, in a weird way. I'm not really the smartest person. That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not really the smartest person when it comes to like conveying what it means, but like when we are recording, my whole process is to like, because they do all the instrumentals first and I listen to them, and then when it comes to my turn, which I always dread because I feel like I'm gonna be shit, and I just do my very best to just scream as hard as I can, kinda, but also try to like get a certain vibe going off. Like, I'll listen to a song that I had been listening to for like a couple weeks, and then I'll be like, okay, this kind of scream or this kind of melodic singing is what I wanted to portray into this song. I'm gonna somewhat emulate it, but I'm gonna put it into my voice and like put it into my perspective of like what I'm actually trying to sing. But at the same time, I'm not really the smartest person when it comes to like recording songs or like creating songs, because I'm always just like, it's shit, do it again,
no one is.
Record it again, and then everyone's just like, Griffin, it's in your head, and I'm like, I know, I just want it to be perfect.
That's, I think, every musician's struggle. And the final question I wanted to ask you is pertaining to live shows again, because I saw this is now my third Vended show. I want to point something out too. I first saw you my fourth Vended show actually. I saw you at St. Vitus, Warsaw, Webster Hall, and now here at Aftershock. So different type of venues. Also, I've seen you with Code Orange and In Flames, different types of bands. I'd imagine every show so far has been a completely different vibe, right?
It has been a completely different vibe. The experience of touring and like going out during those shows, it is like, it's generally the same, but like just different time, different place. Like, that's why we love like touring with bands that like aren't our music, because it doesn't matter what you play, it doesn't matter where you came from, and it doesn't matter what you're singing. You have a voice and you have a instrument, and you are gonna play it the way you want to play it, which is completely fine. And everyone else, everyone on those tours have been so kind, have been so pleasing to be with. Like, we all just go on rants about stuff. I'll talk about video games. I'll talk about like just certain things that happened in my past, or like just certain like ideas that have happened, or like some things that I did that like I'm still trying to work on. But it all just like touring with those bands, like every single genre, like you get a different like perspective, you get a different idea, you get it like, okay, this band has its way of doing something that's really good. Let's not emulate it, not copy it, but let's like take inspiration or just take tiny notes on it and trying to like make it so that we can do our stage presence or our music just a slightly bit better, but also keeping true to ourselves.
And that's, you completely hit the nail on the head, and I think you exceed that goal, actually. I think, every Vended show I thought was a different experience, and it keeps me coming back at the same time. So I think a Vended show is always kick-ass.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Is there just anything else with Vended that you would like to promote with the new singles coming out and new tours? This will be uploaded by midnight, so if you have a tour scheduled for the summer of 2023, maybe don't say it here.
Yeah. I would like to just say that thank you all so very, very much for being at our shows. It is so nice seeing so many different faces and familiar faces out during our shows, because our goal is to not be up on stage and be like, look at us, we're so cool, we're so this. Our goal is to entertain you. Our goal is to make you feel better, because everyone feels like shit nowadays, and it's just kind of nice to have someone just kind of hurt themselves on stage just screaming and then wake up the next morning with back problems and then have you go home and be like, you know what, that was a really nice experience. Like I can kind of see where these guys are coming from.
You give
if you
yourself
didn't
pain on the outside to get rid of it on the inside.
Exactly. And if you didn't enjoy our shows, that is completely fine. Like there have been shows that I've gone to where I was just like, oh, not my cup of tea. And it's like that's completely your choice to not like our music, because honestly, it just makes us try harder, and it makes us like take steps to like not change ourselves so much that it's almost like we're unrecognizable, but change ourselves to the point where it's just like, maybe we can do it again, maybe we can try again.
Definitely.
But thank you all so very, very much for fucking A, watching this, and B, being here like at our shows. Please, if we are ever in town and if we are ever in your town, or if we're ever performing near you, please pick up merch, pick up the other band's merch that we're touring with, because it's worth it for them. Please tip, do us a favor, tip the merch guys. It helps them out. It 100% does. But thank you all so very, very much for being here. Please take a listen to Dead to Me. We worked our asses off, and I poured my heart and soul into that song. So thank you all so very much for being here.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much. Everybody, Vended, be sure to check out the new single Dead to Me. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York, Aftershock 2022.